Hi, my name is Linsdau. I'm a polar explorer and motivational speaker. Today I'm going to take you on a little tour of Balboa Park, the major central park of San Diego. Balboa Park is one of the crown jewels of the entire city of San Diego. Very similar to Mission Bay Park in that it's one of the most important parks of the entire county. But Balboa Park is totally different in that it's a classic city park. It houses the world famous San Diego Zoo, the Timkins, the Natural History Museum, the Botanical Museums, the Museum of Natural History, the Museum of Man. Help me out here, what else does it have? Spanish Exhibition Park. Well, history. Yeah, Natural History Museum. I don't even know what else. There are several gardens up here. Oh yeah, talking to my mom, the camera woman here is, there's the Railroad Museum, the Sports Museum, there's a Photography Museum. I think I'm museumed out, yes. So Balboa Park is totally awesome in that if you are a hardcore museum junkie, this is the park to come to in San Diego. Now, does it compete against Los Angeles? That's arguable, but there is no park like Balboa Park in Los Angeles or New York or anywhere else. Interestingly enough, Central Park has, I think it's about 842 acres. Balboa Park is about 50% larger than Central Park in New York City, America's largest city. Go check that fact out. Also, Balboa Park wouldn't exist if it wasn't for the Panama Canal. How do you say that? The Panama Canal is like 1,000 miles away, Aaron. Yeah, that's right. But originally Balboa Park was built in somewhere around 1914 or thereabouts, and it was built for what's called the Pan American Exposition. The whole theory was that there was going to be, for the opening of the Panama Canal, a huge exposition in San Diego for it. Irony of ironies, as I recall, the actual Pan American exhibition in Balboa Park was canceled. Go figure. They built this huge, beautiful park and denied. Go fact check that one. I'm not sure. But whatever case is, the city founders said, screw it. We're going to have a park anyway, and we're going to have an opening. Now that made huge record population, visits, and all this. But one of the challenges was in Balboa Park is a lot of the buildings were not designed to stand up for 100 or 150 years of use. So come along I think it was about the mid-90s, some of the facade on the buildings started falling off. So you don't want some big old chunk of concrete going boonk, because that's a problem, obviously. So the city decided to spend a lot of money to begin revamping the buildings, and now everything's open. In front of the, what was it called? The art museum. Did I mention the art museum? Maybe I didn't. So there's an art museum here too. It used to be a traffic circle, but the city changed it around where it's only a walking quad area. So you do lose some of the parking, but in my entire life of living in San Diego for like 30 years, I scored parking in front of that museum once, maybe twice ever. So really it's the most frustrating parking in the history of mankind. So the city decided to change it to a walking promenade. It was way better. And there's also a famous duck, swan, turtle pond that leads to one of the major buildings in the park. And it's super beautiful. If you're a photography type, and you like to either bust out with your iPhone, your Nikon, Canon, your Hasselblad, your 8x10, boy, that little reflecting pond, I'll show it in the video here, is something to behold. Now there's always something going on at the park. Oh yeah, the Reuben H. Fleet Science Center. I totally forgot about that thing. Yeah, I don't know, how many museums have I named? 10, 11, 12. Nuts. It's totally crazy. The Timken Museum behind me, yes, the Timken Museum has some of the most famous artwork in the world. It's not the Louvre, it's not the Met, it's not the British Museum, but it has some very spectacular pieces. And the best part is the Timken Museum is free. That's right, free. Now, here's a super local secret that on Tuesdays, depending on the Tuesday of the month it is, different museums are open for free. It used to be it was like the second Tuesday or some such thing. All the museums are open for free, but the museums couldn't handle the crush. Oh, of course, how could I forget the Automotive Museum and the Aerospace Museum? Good gosh, okay, museum number 15, yeah, you're getting the idea here. Pretty crazy. So anyway, Google online or go Bing or Yahoo or whatever you use. Go online, check out Balboa Park's free Tuesday program. So if you're in the city and you happen to be on any one of those Tuesdays, some of the museums are free in the park at that time. This is a totally cool secret. I don't think there's a carte musée like there is in Paris where you can get around all the museums and free, but maybe they have them. I'm not exactly sure. So that's something to consider. This is also a super popular place for weddings. There's a couple courtyards that are real popular. It's called the Moreton Bay Fig Tree. Sorry. The Moreton Bay Fig Tree is by the Natural History Museum. It is one of the biggest fig trees in the world. It was originally brought over by a girl in Australia like 100 years ago. Some such thing. Again, check online to see what the story is. But that thing, you could house like thousands of people under it if we all stood shoulder to shoulder. I mean, it's ridiculously huge. As kids, we could go crawl on it and everything. It was really neat. But over time, the poor tree started getting worn out and wrecked. So the city put cables on there and put a fence around it. So you really can't go under the main core part of the tree. But the tree is so big, I mean, you could have like this concert under that thing. Also along the main promenade in Balboa Park, there's always performers, musicians, sellers, people willing to paint your face and all that sort of stuff. There's even a guy here with a didgeridoo, I think it's a didgeridoo. Whoa, 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 whoa. He is totally cool. I'll try and remember his website and put a link below. But he is totally cool. It's funny because he's an African American guy and he looks kind of aboriginal. And people come up to him and ask him, wow, that didgeridoo is so cool. Oh, what tribe are you from? Assuming Australia. And he says, oh, I'm from a huge tribe. And people ask, huge tribe? What's huge tribe? And he says, I'm from a tribe of 10 million people. What? And they look at him like, what? And he says, yeah, I'm from the New York tribe. So there's always a comedian in Balboa Park too. And interestingly, they all have to have permits. So people can't just set up and go willy-nilly. Do have to have a permit to set your business up. So that's pretty cool. One of my favorite, I'm not going to be able to get video of it because it's only open from 10 to 4, is the Botanical Garden. It's housed in this huge lattice structure. And in the late 80s, that poor thing was falling down, so the city fortunately put some money into it and fixed the lattice. But it's got selections of plants from all around the world. It's totally fascinating. And again, that's a local secret. The Botanical Garden is free. They also have some butterfly bushes outside that the monarchs and the swallowtails, when they're migrating, man, that bush is just coated with butterflies. And if you get close, they might poop. They might sit and flit in your hair. It's a really neat experience. But they also lay their eggs and the caterpillars grow there. So the little bushes, just as you go inside the Botanical Garden, they don't look like much, but they're actually really neat. And they have a lot of value to add. The Botanical Garden is mostly non-touch, but another secret is there's a planter full of edible plants, and they say please touch, and they've got chocolate mint, lemon mint, mint, I don't know, different mints. And if you just take one leaf, take the chocolate mint, rub that thing in your fingers, whoa, that smells like chocolate. It's totally cool. The lemon mint, it kind of smells like Pledge, but you get the lemon idea. So that's totally neat. There's also another secret location called Palm Canyon. Palm Canyon is at the western edge. You have to look on the map. Western edge of the park, and you can actually go into this canyon. There are a bunch of palm trees, so that's actually really neat. Just a word of warning, at night, Balboa Park, in the less lit areas, especially for the women, you don't want to go alone. There have been things that have happened that are less than savory, shall we say, to people here. So It's not like the Bronx or something where you better be packing heat, but just be mindful when you're walking around at night. You are in the core of the city, so just be careful. It's a beautiful place. I don't want to have anything happen to you, so just be mindful of that. Also, the Reuben H. Fleet Science Center is home to the first IMAX theater in, I know the country, if not the world. It's one of those cool dome geodesic things, and they've got all sorts of crazy movies and IMAX. It's a really neat experience. One mistake I made, oh my gosh, I had a couple of adult libations called beer right before I went to go see the underwater whale movie. And then, of course, if you show up late, don't show up late to this. You end up having to sit in the very front row where you're like this. And so it was whales in the ocean, and I wasn't feeling so good. Yeah, so if the IMAX experience or the movie is right in your face, kind of bothers you, show up early. You can sit way back, still enjoy the view. But the kids, they love to sit right up in the immersive view, but for some reason that always bothers me. It's like, oh my gosh, it gives me a supreme headache. So just a word of warning there. They've got a cool kids science museum. I think there's a kids museum here too. I don't even know. And there are sculptures all around, and planters and grass and fountains. I mean, this is a classic one. Oh, the Japanese Friendship Garden. Duh, forgot that too. And then the largest, oh, ding. Oh, 15 minutes, that's all you get. The California Tower, it was closed in 1935. It was just open last year. It cost some money to get up in, but that thing's been closed for almost 100 years, so you can walk up the spiral steps and see out over the whole area. But the thing I was talking about was the outdoor organ. I believe San Diego is the only city in the country with a city outdoor organist. Totally cool. I mean, they open the roll-up doors, wheel out the player, and it's these huge pipes and doo-loo-loo-loo-loo-loo. Yeah, okay, I don't play the organ. You got it. Sunday, like around 2 o'clock, there's a free concert here, so that's another cool trick. It's a little sunny, so if you don't like the sun, bring the umbrella. But they've got seats and chairs and benches. Also, major events go on in Balboa Park. A lot of times they'll use the organ pavilion for major events. During the winter, for Christmas, they call it holiday nights now. Totally lame. It's Christmas. Just get over it. But there are different nationalities. It's called the International Houses. And you go over there, and their houses, Iran, Iraq, Britain, Peru, Colombia, Tanzania, I mean, tons of places. What? Ireland. Oh, yeah. My camera woman says Ireland. Loads of places. So in Christmas, and around Christmas time, they have this whole December nights thing. Totally cool. Get here early though. If you think parking in summer is bad, whoa! Yeah, parking during that is nuts. But it's awesome. It's a real fascinating experience. So winter is relative in San Diego. It's probably 60 degrees. Everybody has on their puffy coats. We people from the cold area laugh. But anyway, there's always something going on at Balboa Park. There's even, I've been watching these bubbles float by my head. There's a bubble guy. So there's always something to do at Balboa Park. It's a great place to bring a picnic, hang out with your kids and your sweetheart. Totally worth the time. And it's only like 15 minutes from the airport, and that's just because of traffic. So if you've got a day to spend, it's really hard to go wrong with Balboa Park. So definitely come here, bring your family, friends, stop by and wander around, check out the zoo. I mean, it's just an incredible place. So well worth checking out. So I forgot a couple more places in the park. Oh, geez. There's a little, it's not quite a maze type garden, but there's a garden across from the Museum of Man. But behind that, not behind the garden, but behind the Museum of Man, is the Shakespearean Old Globe Theater. They put on theater in the round like the original Old Globe over in England. Hey, pretty cool. There's also a junior theater and a classic style theater in the park as well, and that's along to Spanish Village. It's like Spanish Village, and that's there's something like 30 plus galleries and workshops for artists who rent spaces. So if you want to check out some local artisan work, from glass blowing to sculptures to wood carving to knitting, they've got everything. So I forgot about that. So as I'm walking around Balboa Park, I keep thinking about these things. So we'll just cut back and forth, and hopefully I'll mention most of the major players. There's also a Botanical Society garden that they have sales every like second Sunday or whatever it is. So if you like seeing different plants, there's something for that as well. My name is Aaron Linsdau. I'm a polar explorer and motivational speaker. Enjoy the world beyond experience, the experience beyond your doorstep, and the world beyond your city limits. Thank you very much for watching my video. Please like the video, comment below, and then please subscribe to my channel. Thank you.